Okay, welcome everyone. As we learn tonight, special for Yitzchak Isaac ben Yaakov, the neshama should have an aliyah. L'refuah shalema for Avyata Menachem bas Ahava and Shira bas Sarah. We are sponsored Lila Nishmas by Baruch Ian, Lila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Esther Bas Gittel, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKohen, by Yaakov Yamansky, with Akar Tov to the Rav and the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren, by A.B. Spry from Nachas from children from grandchildren, Ed Salah from London, Joshua Rosenberg, a virtual Talmud, by Shalom Fogel, Lila Nishmas Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, Yosef ben Sion ben Yaakov Zev. The neshama should have an aliyah. We also acknowledge the great loss of the Rosh Yeshiva of Chaim Berlin, Rav Halawa. What a terrible thing. And somebody put on the text, what time is the shir? Maybe Irving, you could tell them now. It's interesting that his Rebbitzin was in my first Rebbitzins class in BYA. So Shama should have an aliyah. Also, a very big loss to the Memphis community and to the world in general. Rabbi Avi Goldberg, who was a shliach in the Memphis community, who was very, very, very active in Memphis and played a very, very active role in many people's lives. He was a shliach and he was killed. He was a rabbi in the IDF. He was killed in Lebanon. His neshama should have a big aliyah. These are real terrible losses for Klal Yisrael. Terrible losses. We are holding by Amalei Abaya 2 lines from the bottom of Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom of Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis, as we welcome in Saba and Yitzi Fuchs. We welcome in Eddie Chazan, Irving Fishbaum, Marshall Castle, Mo Kushner, Aaron Swade, Baruch Ian, good to have you back, Baruch, Yisrael Fisher, Stephen Holtzman, and that is Itchy, good to see you. Yitzi Muller, Rabbi Kranz, Menachem Yamansky, Shimon Klein, Dr. Block, Nachman Chaplin, Moshe Lehman, Ilya Shutman, Avram Rezepkowitz, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Daniel Rosenberg. Here in Shul, we have the pleasure of having Chaim Kramer, Rich Leonard, and Ruvain Shannet. So we said yesterday, remember we were talking about that a Bechor takes a double portion. And the question is, if a Bechor takes a double portion of money that was owed to the father and paid back after death. So the Gemara cites 2 opinions, one of Rabbah and one of Rav Nachman. So let's back up to 4 lines from the bottom of Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis. The Amar Rabbah Gavu Karka, if the estate collected real estate for the loan, Yeshlai, then the Bechor gets a double portion. The idea being is that the father had a lien during his lifetime on real estate. Gavu Mais, if it collects money, then Einai, because there's no lien on money. So that's money that's collected after death, and that the firstborn doesn't get a double portion. Rav Nachman says the reverse. Gavu Mais, if money was collected, we say that money is a replacement of the money that the father gave during his lifetime. So Yeshlai, Gavu Karka, but if they collected real estate, that's something new, Einai, he doesn't get a double portion. So Amalei Abaya, Abaya doesn't like either of the explanations. Amalei Abaya l'Rabba. Abaya says to Rabba, L'didoch kasha, I have your explanation as it being difficult, and the Rav Nachman kasha, and Rav Nachman's explanation as difficult. L'didach kasha, I have your explanation as being difficult. I mean, you say that if the father, if the Yisayimim, if the estate collects the debt from real estate, then the Bechar gets a double portion. L'didach kasha, it's difficult according to you, as we turn to Daf Kuf Chei Amud Aleph. Maishna Mois Delay, why doesn't get the firstborn get a double portion if the debt is paid in money? The Lav Hanimo Shavik Kavuan, because that money wasn't left by the father. The father died and money was paid after his death. Karkanami, so if paid with real estate also, Lav Ha Karka Shavik Kavuan. The father didn't leave that real estate, it was paid after his death. And why should the firstborn get a double portion? V'oid, and furthermore, he says, I have a problem with Rabbah because of a teaching. Now this is Talmudic style at its best. The Gemara asks a question from a case that it doesn't reveal to us until Amud Beis. So therefore we got to give you a scoop over here, right? An advanced scoop. The case that we're going to discuss is the following. Chatzkel leaves a last will and testament as follows. He says, I want my money to go to my grandma. But after my grandma dies, I don't want it to pass to her ears. I want it to pass to my ears. So again, let's see the case over here. Chatzkel leaves a last will and testament, and he says that upon my demise, I want my money, my Swiss bank account, to go to my grandma. I loved my grandma. But when she dies, I don't want it to pass to her ears. I want it to pass to my ears. Okay, that's what was said. Now, to complicate the case more, what happened is when the grandma died, the only heir that he had was a married daughter who predeceased the grandma. Interesting. So remember, he said, I wanted to go to the grandma, and then afterwards not to go to her ears, but to go to my ears. But the only ear that Chatzkel had was a married daughter. The married daughter predeceased the grandmother. So the husband said, look, my wife would have inherited it, so therefore I want it from my wife. I want to take it, because I would inherit my wife. I want to take it. So Rabbah decided in such a case, V'oid atu de'amrit. You, Rabbah, have said, Mistavra taima debnei marava, that it's logical, the reasoning of the people of Eretz Yisrael, the kodem safta, that the husband doesn't get it. The only way that it would make sense that the husband should get it is we should say that it passes through to the daughter who is deceased and goes to the husband. So the Gemara says, since the daughter predeceased the grandmother, she never had it. Remember, the husband could only get it. He's not a blood relative. He could only get it if it passed to the daughter. But the Rabbah says it makes sense, like the people of Eretz Yisrael, that the husband doesn't get it. Why? The ikodim safta v'zovna, if the grandmother would have sold it, the inheritance, while she was alive, zvine, the sale would be a good sale. So you see that the daughter had no right in it while she was alive. So what do we see that Rabbah holds? The Rabbah holds that there's no, it's not considered like she had any ownership in it while the grandmother was alive. And therefore here also, how could you say that it's like the father had some ownership in the land of the of the debt while he's alive, that the bechor should get a double portion? So that's the kasha on Rabbah. Furthermore, says the Gemara, as we welcome in Gedalia Engel, furthermore, says the Gemara, Rav Nachman kasha. Remember, Rav Nachman said that if the creditor, if the debtor paid in cash, then the bechor gets a double portion. Now, he says, I don't understand that. Maishna karka deloi. Why doesn't he get a double portion if he paid with real estate, the lava karka shava kavuan? That wasn't real estate that the father left. Mois nami, money too, lavani mois shava kavuan. This is not money that was by the father. It's not the money that he loaned. It's different money that came after death. Furthermore, v'oid ha'amar Rav Nachman amar Rabba bar Avua yisoimim shegavu karka b'chayvis avian, orphans that collect real estate for the debt of their father, bal chayv chayzer v'gayva mehem, their father's creditors can collect from that real estate. So that means now the father's creditors could only collect from something that the father had a shaykhis with. So that means that Rav Nachman himself holds that the father is considered to have a lien on it while he was alive, so that when they're paid with the karka, other people that the father owed money to can take it away from the Yarshin. So you see that Rav Nachman himself holds that it's considered like the father had a connection to it while he was alive, and then the bechor should be able to take a double portion. Amalei, so he said to him, this is what what Rabbah said to Abaya, Loyla di kasha, v'loyla Rav Nachman kasha. It's not difficult according to me. It's not difficult according to Rav Nachman. Time of the b'nei marava ka'amrinan. When we said the difference between whether the bechor can take money, that Rabbah says the bechor can take money if for the payment of the loan, he could take a double portion if it was paid by karka, and Rav Nachman says the bechor could take a double portion if it was paid with money. We were only saying it according to the Bnei Marava that say that a bechor takes a double portion for a loan. But v'lon lo yisviralan. However, we don't hold that way. And since we don't hold that way, to the contrary, we hold like Shmuel, that a bechor doesn't get a double portion in a loan, no matter what it is, no matter whether it was karka, paid karka, no matter what it was paid money. So you can't ask any questions of all the questions that you are throwing at us, that we're conflicting our opinions elsewhere, because we weren't saying our own opinion. We were only saying the opinion of the Bnei Marava. So now, the Gemara now goes back and says, that was a very interesting case that you said with a grandmother, with a married daughter. Could you tell us the whole story clearly now? Could you tell us what was going on? So I noticed that Michal Avram is not joining us now. I know that his wife was under the weather, so we learned for Shira Bas Chana. she should have a refuah shalema b'seich sharcha Yisrael. So, my safta, what's the case of the grandma? So the Gemara tells us, Dahu da amalahu, Chatzkel said his last will and testament. He said, Nichsai l'safta. I want my property to go to my beloved grandma. However, Ubasra, but once she dies, I don't want it to go to her relatives. I want it to go to my relatives. Ubasra liyarsoi. It should go to my relatives. Now, Havyale Brata, his immediate relative was a married daughter. Havyale Brata dahavi nesiva. He had a married daughter, and Shiva b'chaye baila. She predeceased her husband, or b'chaye safta, and predeceased the grandmother. So now the husband comes along and says, look, Chatzkel said it should go to the grandmother, after that to his relative. His relative was a daughter, and I am in line to inherit my wife, the daughter, so therefore I want to get it. Asabal Katava. So Amar Rav Huna, so Rav Huna says, when he said it should go to his ears, it means liyarsei, to his ears, va'afilu liyarsei yarsei, and even the ear of the ear. And therefore, the husband should get it. Rav Anan Amar liyarsei, he meant only the immediate relative, the daughter, and since the daughter is not alive, v'lo liyarsei yarsei, not to the relative of the relative, instead it reverts back to the grandmother's ears. Says the Gemara, Sholchu mitam, they sent from Eretz Yisrael, Hilchas Kavasei de Rav Anan. The law is, according to Rav Anan, that the husband doesn't get it. V'lav mitamei, but not according to his reasoning. In other words, if the daughter would have had a son, then it would go to the son, because it goes to a relative and even to a relative of a relative. However, the husband's not a blood relative. Hilchas Kavasei de Rav Anan de Baal lo Yoris, that the husband doesn't get it, but v'lam mitamei, not because of Rav Anan's reasoning. The ilu Rav Anan savar the afal gav dahavale bra lebrate, even if the daughter would have a son, it wouldn't lo Yoris. However, lohi, that's not true. The ilu havale bra lebrate, if the daughter would have left a son, vade Yoris, the son would get it, because Chatzkel said it should go to my ears, and the son is a blood ear. The reason why the husband doesn't get it is because the daughter predeceased the grandmother, and a husband is not Yorish Beroi, or Baal Hainu Taima de lo Yoris, and the reason why the husband doesn't inherit it, Mishum Davale Roy, this is only something that was potentially coming to the daughter, but she never got it because she predeceased the grandmother. Says the Gemara, does that mean that Rav Huna holds, Rav Huna who says that the husband gets it, Michlal de Rav Huna saver bal noitel baroi kimamosek? But nobody holds that way. Nobody holds that a husband will inherit if the wife predeceases him. Amar Rabbi Lazar, so Rabbi Lazar says, Davar zeh niftach b'gedolim. This matter was opened up by great people, by Rav Huna, v'nistayim b'ketanim, and humbly he said, and it will be answered by small. Kala omer acharecha, Rav Huna holds that if the Chatzkel said that after the grandmother it should go to the daughter, ka'omer me achshav dami. It's as if he said that it should be from now, so that the daughter had a shaykhus in it while she was alive. because he said it should go to the grandmother and afterwards to the daughter, he meant that from now it should be afterwards to the daughter. So Rabbah says, if it would be from now to the daughter, then the grandmother wouldn't be able to sell it. So Amar Rabbah mistaber time of the Bnei Marava, it's reasonable, like the Bnei Marava, that the husband doesn't get it. The I kodim safta v'zavna, if the grandmother would have went ahead and sold it, zvine. So you see that it's not considered like it was already owned and mulzuk by the daughter, because if that was the case, the grandmother wouldn't be able to sell it. So now we get, people like Itchy like to wrap things up very nice and, nice and clear, right? So, Amar Papa Hilchasa, Ein Abal Noita B'Roi Kibimosik. The husband doesn't inherit something that would have came to the wife if she was alive. We don't say that she's Yorishit in the kever and the husband gets it. He only gets it if his wife had it while she was alive. And the same thing is true, that a firstborn does not get a double portion in that which was owed to the estate, only that which was in the estate at the time of the father's death. And the Ein HaBechor Noitel Pishnayim B'Milva, and the halacha is like Shmuel, that a Bechor doesn't get a double portion in a debt that was owed to the father. And this is true, Bein Shegavu Karka, whether the orphans collected from real estate, which you might be able to say that the father had a lien on while he was alive, Bein Shegavu Mois, or whether they collected for money, and you don't say that money was just in exchange for the money that the father loaned, and therefore it's like he had it at the time of his life. The Bechor doesn't get a double portion in either of these cases. The last case, the last halacha, we'll say for tomorrow. Pretty fast stuff, if I might say so myself. But don't worry, they won't all be like this.
Isn't this like a Masa Mash's custom to take who it goes to after the grandmother?
No, because Mechayim, he didn't use a lashon of Yerusha. The only time it's Masna Mashikas B'Torah is if he uses a lashon of Yerusha. This was a bequest. A bequest you could make. Now, just a reminder that tomorrow again we'll start at 8. Also, anyone that made a monthly pledge to adopt the kollel should remember, and I'm going to try to send out for November, Mitzvah Hashem, and we're going to do now the Mishnah Yomis.